You've heard it before. We lose muscle as we age. But here's the real question. Why does it happen? And more importantly, how can we stop it? In today's episode, we're going to do a deep dive into why lifting heavy weights, even after 35, could be the key to maintaining muscle, combating age, and boosting your overall health. Stick around and learn the science of estrogen and why strength training matters and how you can take control of your body as you age. Welcome to Miles from Review, the podcast powered by Catfit Strength, where busy women like you find practical solutions to fuel your fitness journey with authenticity and resilience. I'm Kat, your host, a mom of 2 active boys, a business owner, and an ultramarathon runner, and a strength trainer in her 40s. With nearly 2 decades of experience, I'm here to help you cut through the noise of fads, hacks, and quick fixes. This is a space where we celebrate womanhood and motherhood, all while building strength and resilience and reconnecting with you from a place of self-compassion and worthiness. Whether you're lacing up your running shoes to go out for a run, driving your kids to practice, or squeezing in a moment for yourself, I'm right here in the trenches with you. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Miles from Review. I'm Kat, and this topic, I have talked about it before. If you're a longtime listener, you've heard me say heavy lifting, strength training, things are so important for us women as we progress through our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever decade you're in, strength training is important. We're also going to talk about how to balance those weeks. But I think what is really, really deep is the understanding of how our hormones change. And it's not all about doom and gloom. There is a lot of positive and ways we can control how we go through that midlife period as we are in that perimenopause to menopause timeframe. That timeframe in your 30s, you're raising a family, managing your career, and navigating those early stages of perimenopause. You may not know you're directly in perimenopause. You may feel changes starting to happen. And sadly, you can talk to your doctor about it, but sometimes there just isn't more knowledge on that. Your doctor may be dismissive. You yourself may be still building your family between that 35 to 45 range, where our hormones are starting to fluctuate and starting to prepare us for that menopausal years. Does not mean that anything is wrong with that. It's just the way life is. Or maybe you had your kids when you were in your late 20s or early 30s, and now you're starting to feel those flexes. Could it be perimenopause till menopause? Maybe it's not. So really what you can do to set yourself up for success and not feel like you've tried everything and failed. So we're going to be breaking down, like I said, those hormonal changes that come with midlife and explain why muscle mass naturally decreases after 30 and why it is so crucial to take control of your strength now. You'll also learn how to structure those workouts to build muscle power and strength and navigate your way to better health despite these changes. But we're going to go into what midlife really is and when perimenopause starts to affect us. With that, it's different for each person. Does not mean there isn't answers for you. I want to be very clear on that. One of the biggest things that I would say with perimenopause and menopause is look to the women in your family. See when they went through menopause. That can kind of give you a time frame as to when you might be entering or feeling some of those perimenopause flexes. On average, it's about like 8 to 10 years before you go through menopause. Each person is different, so you need to make sure that you document it for yourself. Also have those conversations if you can with sisters, mothers, aunts, etc., all the women in your direct bloodline family. That can really help shed some light on the age frame of when you might be going through it. Symptoms are different for each person. Sometimes how your mom went through perimenopause to menopause also may give you some indication. However, there are some differences there. But going back to what does midlife even mean? We hear midlife, am I middle-aged? Am I in my midlife? What does that really mean? But it's oftentimes considered, right around the start of your 40s, so a little bit over 35. That is when we start to notice some changes. Midlife isn't just a number. It's kind of a shift in priorities, energies, and the way our body responds to life. If you're raising a family or juggling multiple roles, you're navigating changes physically, mentally, and emotionally. The stress of trying to do it all can really take a toll. Trust me, I am right there with you guys. I mean, Juggling it all and the stress of it can really be exhausting. But midlife is also a time to lean into our own strength because physically things are changing. You might notice it's harder to build or maintain muscle, or you might feel like you just naturally were strong or a little bit harder and you're feeling quote unquote softer. You might find that you could go do a hard workout or do something really hard for a weekend, but now it's taking longer to recover. Or maybe you're seeing more fat accumulate around your abdomen. These changes aren't just inevitable, they're largely due to hormonal fluctuations and especially from estrogen. We're going to take a little step back and we're going to talk about estrogen because it's going to play a huge role in everything we're discussing today. So it's going to get a little sciencey, but I think it's really important because from my standpoint, I see it talked about a lot, and a lot of people blame the hormones. And hormones do play a role. However, estrogen is not often gone into a deep dive. It's just like, oh, estrogen is the main player. It's the thing that is causing the issue, and that's that. Perimenopause is that transitional period before menopause. So it typically starts in your 40s and it can happen earlier. It's when your body gradually starts to produce less estrogen and your ovaries slow down in releasing eggs. So this shift has a big impact on that muscle mass, metabolism, and fat distribution. And here's why. Estrogen does more than just regulate the menstrual cycle. It's essential for muscle preservation, that fat metabolism, and bone health. And as estrogen levels drop during perimenopause, muscle mass tends to decrease more quickly, while fat, particularly around the abdomen, starts to build up more easily. So let's really break this down, okay? Because if we understand kind of the science, we can provide a little bit more understanding on what's going on with ourselves and give back control to yourself. So there are three main types of estrogen: estrone, which is E1, estroidal, E2, and estriol, E3. And I may be butchering the pronunciations on E2 and E3, but roll with it here. E1, estrone, is the primary form of estrogen during menopause. So estrone becomes the dominant form of estrogen as we enter menopause. It's a weaker estrogen compared to the other two. So in how it impacts muscles is when estrone plays a role in maintaining that some hormonal balance, it doesn't have the muscle preserving power of estradiol. Okay. And again, that's E2. And that is the key factor why we lose muscle as we age. Now, E2, estradiol, and again, please, if I'm butchering these, but forgive me and reach out to me, I will learn how to pronounce them. The dominant form of estrogen here is E2, and those are in the reproductive years. So that is the strongest and most effective form when it comes to muscle preservation and metabolic health. And how it impacts muscles is it plays a crucial role in muscle protein synthesis. So that's the process of building muscle. Without sufficient estradiol, muscle breakdown accelerates and rebuilding slows down. So this can make it really harder to maintain and build that muscle, especially when you're strength training. E3, estriol, that is produced during pregnancy. It typically isn't discussed outside of pregnancy. It can still have a mild effect on the body's estrogen levels during perimenopause. So that's kind of like I don't want to say the lesser, but it's predominantly during that pregnancy time period. So estriol has a weaker effect on muscle mass metabolism as estradiol. However, the presence alongside of low estradiol can also contribute to the decline in muscle mass and muscle function. All in all, as estrogen levels start to decline, particularly E2, that estradiol, your muscles become more prone to breakdown and rebuilding slows. This means you need to be more strategic with your strength training to maintain and build muscle mass. Okay. So that nowhere in there says it's impossible. It's just being very strategic with maintaining the muscle mass and to build your muscles. All right. Let's dive in to why lifting heavy matters. You've heard me talk about it so much on this podcast. And if there's one thing I hope you take away is understanding some of the strategicness of why we need to lift heavy and how it is possible even in a busy schedule. The simple answer of why it matters so much in midlife is it's all about preserving your muscle, building bone density, and improving functional strength, not just so you look stronger, but it's about feeling strong. Aesthetic goals, I'm all for it, but we also have to understand it's about feeling strong. Think about individuals, particularly women, maybe in your own family or others that you might know who are older. You see them as very strong, and then at some point they look frail. Whether or not they're still independent, they just start to look frail. Again, I can think of individuals who I have known throughout my life where they are very strong individuals, and then at some point they start to look very frail and limit themselves. This is something that strength training can give back, and we want to feel stronger. So if we're focused on aesthetic goals solely, it can jeopardize feeling strong, being more independent and mobile as we get older. So when you lift heavy weights, what you are doing is you're stimulating hypertrophy. Hypertrophy increases the muscle size. I want to be very clear on this. You will not bulk up. If you want to bulk up and look like a bodybuilder, that is a different way of working out. So that is not what I'm talking about here. If that is for you, fantastic, but that's not what we're going to cover today. So the strategies today are maintaining current muscle mass, building more muscle mass in which you will not bulk up, you will build strength. So lifting in the 4 to 6 rep range with heavy weights is optimal for building muscle. Research shows that this type of resistance training is really a very effective way to combat age-related decline in muscle and strength. But there's more to it than just muscle growth. Heavy lifting also prevents injuries. And as we get older, falls and trips become a real concern. Our balance and coordination is one of the first things to go out the window. And that doesn't start in our 60s and 70s. It starts in our late 20s and 30s. Think about if you were to stand up right now and just stand on one foot, just see how you feel. Do you feel a little off balance? Do you feel more in control? And do it out of shoes. Try and do it barefoot. Balance and coordination is huge, and strength training is going to help maintain that. So the stronger your muscles are, the better your balance and stability will. Lifting also helps you catch yourself when you trip. When you strength train, and if you trip, you are going to be able to catch yourself because your muscle is going to be what's called action ready. You're going to be primed to be able to react to prevent yourself falling to the floor. This is really important because, like I said, we lose balance as we age. You will probably experience some falling, and we want to prevent serious injuries. Lifting keeps you safe. Let's talk about power. So we talked about hypertrophy, lifting heavy, stimulating that muscle mass. We want to maintain that. But power is also a combination of strength and the ability to generate force. So this is the ability to react fast. Okay. Think about picking up your kids, jumping during a workout, avoiding an accident. You're tripping, quick catch yourself. This is the power. This is what we want, that reactivity of inertia impacting on your body so that you don't fall, that you can sustain a hit. I have 2 large dogs. They come running at me. They don't know. They think they're probably 5-pound dogs and they hit me. I can withstand the hit of my 75-pound dog. It doesn't take me over. Not keen on that, but you know what? He is my lap dog. So power is so crucial for maintaining athleticism as we age. Athleticism gets associated with being on a team and playing a sport. Yes, that is one aspect of it, but we need athleticism in our everyday life. Think about the amount of times if you have younger kids, you're picking up kids. If you are, groceries, picking up a heavy grocery bag, placing it onto the counter. Think about if you are someone who cares for horses, you have horses, or you are doing gardening. I know, again, going back to my dogs, we buy 40-pound bags of dog food. Lifting that up into the car, lifting it into the car. There is athleticism in life does not mean you need to be training for a sport of any kind. All right, let's dig a little bit deeper into the science behind hypertrophy. So when we talk about hypertrophy, we're really referring to that process of muscle growth. For muscle tissue to grow, it must be subjected to a stressor that isn't it isn't accustomed to. It causes those fibers to experience microscopic damage or micro tears. And once these fibers repair, they rebuild stronger and thicker. This is the result of muscle growth. How do we do this? It's progressive overload. You might have heard me speak about this on the podcast before, but progressive overload is the cornerstone to that hypertrophy. In simple terms, progressive overload means we gradually increase the stress placed on your muscles during training to continue making gains over time. This isn't just about like adding more weight. It could also mean increasing number of sets, reps, or intensity of your exercise. So I don't want you to think, okay, if I start with 5 pounds, at some point I'm going to be at 500 pounds. No, there's many different ways to manipulate and the progressive overload over time. So it's sets, reps, intensity of the exercises. Your body adapts to those challenges. So if we continue to do the same thing at the same intensity, your progress will plateau. So oftentimes I hear from clients when they start working with me, I have been doing this and it's no longer working. So we take a deep dive into the things that they've been doing. All great things, but we need that progressive overload. And that's where some of the sciencey aspect goes into and creating that strategic plan so that you can maintain and build muscle. Dr. Vonda Wright is an amazing expert and an amazing doctor in the field of study with midlife and aging. She is an orthopedic doctor and follow her on social media. She's amazing. She emphasizes living hefty in the 4 to 6 range is very optimal for hypertrophy. So at this intensity, you're targeting the fast twitch muscle fibers. These are the fibers that are responsible for explosive strength and muscle growth. So when you lift heavy weights in the 4 to 6 reps, you're placing a maximum stress on these fibers, which stimulate the release of various growth factors like IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, and testosterone. These hormones are critical for muscle repair and growth. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit deeper. Like I said, we're going to get a little sciencey. I want to provide that background. And if you have questions on all of this, message the podcast. I'm here to help you. So how muscles fibers respond to training. So to truly understand this hypertrophy, we need to look at the different types of muscle fibers and what they do with muscle growth. So type 1 is your slow twitch. These fibers are primarily responsible for endurance activities like long distance running, cycling, and they tend to be more resistant to fatigue, but they just don't grow as much in response to heavy lifting. Now, type 2A, which is fast twitch oxidative, these fibers are a hybrid of endurance and power. So they can handle moderate loads for long periods and really contribute to muscle growth, but they aren't the primary focus for maximal hypertrophy. So type 2B, fast twitch, which are glycolytic, these fibers are the real muscle builders. They can handle the highest loads and respond dramatically to hypertrophy training. So when you're lifting in that 4 to 6 range, you're primarily targeting these fast twitch fibers, and they have the greatest potential for growth. So when you're engaging in hypertrophy specific training, you recruit more of these type 2B fibers, and this is where you see the most muscle growth. The process begins with mechanical tension from lifting heavy weights and muscle damage caused by muscle tears, which leads to metabolic stress, the pump or that burning feeling you get during high intensity workouts. All this triggers the body to repair muscle fibers stronger and larger. But we're going to dive in a little bit deeper. I really want to give you this full picture of not just why it is so important, but how we can be strategic and how you can see the changes you want in midlife and beyond. So we're going to go into now the bone density, estrogen decline, and just kind of try and tie it a little bit more together. Bone density. This is a big one. Estrogen levels, as we already stated, they decline with age. We want to make sure we're not losing that bone densities. Estrogen, as we've already concluded, is essential for bone turnover and this process of breaking down old bone tissue and forming new. So when the estrogen drops, the process can it becomes unbalanced, leading to loss of bone. This is why women after menopause are at a higher risk of osteoporosis. And that is the condition where bones become more brittle and fragile and making Are you curious about cat fit strength? Well, CatFit Strength is designed to help you achieve your fitness goals with confidence and clarity. Whether you're a busy mom juggling multiple responsibilities, a woman navigating unique challenges of prenatal, postpartum, or perimenopause, or an athlete looking to enhance your performance, CatFit Strength has you covered. Let's get down to it. CatFit Strength offers personalized programs tailored to your unique needs, goals, and ensuring you get the most out of every workout. Expert guidance provided for you with the understanding of the importance of balancing strength training, cardio, and mobility. Flexible workouts designed to fit into your busy schedule, whether you're at home or at the gym or on the go. So why choose CatFit Strength? I believe in creating sustainable fitness habits that adapt to your lifestyle. I focus on helping you lift effectively, move better, and feel stronger every day. Plus, emphasis is on realistic goal setting, celebrating every win, and helping you stay motivated and inspired. You're more prone to fractures. So this is where heavy lifting comes in. Strength training, particularly weight-bearing exercises, stimulate bone formation. So the mechanical stress is placed on the bones when lifting heavy weights and encourages bone-building cells called osteoblasts to become more active. These osteoblasts lay down new bone tissue and help increase bone density to counteract the effects of estrogen decline. But this is another huge reason why we need to lift heavy and have that progressive overload, is because it is something within your control that you can take back regardless of how your hormones they are fluctuating. So studies show that like regular strength training, especially heavy loads, bone mineral density, BMD, this can help maintain or even improve that bone strength, reducing the risk of osteoporosis related fractures later in life. So this is so huge. So let's go into that mechanical stress on bones. Just like muscles, bones adapt to the stress placed on them. The more stress you place on bones, the stronger they become. By lifting heavy weights, you're not only increasing muscle mass, but you're also ensuring bones become denser and stronger. Now, the hormonal benefits. Strength training boosts the release of growth hormones and testosterone, which play a role in bone health. These hormones stimulate the production of bone-forming cells and increase bone remodeling, which maintains bone density. Weight-bearing impact. So weight-bearing activity like walking, running, lifting forces your bones to support your body weight, and it encourages bone strength. Lifting weights is one of the most effective for weight-bearing activities because they have high forces involved. How do you put together a strategic strength training plan? We want a multifaceted approach that tackles both muscle preservation and bone density, where you are focusing on hypertrophy for muscle growth as well as power and maintaining that athleticism. So to optimize that hypertrophy, we want to focus on compound movements like squats, deadlifts, bench press, and rows. So these exercises are working multiple groups at once. So they're going to provide a greater training. When I write plans, I focus on compound movements. I do not specialize with focused body part plans. So it's not like back and chest one day, legs one day, core one day. No, we are focused on the whole body because of what compound movements do. They provide a greater training effect. So we're going to lift heavy with proper form. Heavy is related to you. It does not mean a number that is universal. Heavy is unique to you, and I want that to resonate with you there. I want you to kind of take that away. So we're going to stick 4 to 6 rep range to stimulate that muscle growth to engage those fast twitch fibers. Using challenging weights, but allowing you to maintain good form. Good form, I am a stickler with form because it allows the muscles to engage the way they're supposed to. Also prevents injuries. I can't tell you how many times I have had clients come in scared to do exercises because they have gotten injured before. And I work with them. I meet them where they're at so that they feel more comfortable and competent in their body so that they can move their body with great form, with heavy loads on it. Progressive overload. Okay, we want to keep challenging those muscles. So gradually increasing the weight, number of reps or sets over time, which pushes the muscles to grow and adapt. This is my favorite one, and often overlooked, is rest days and recovery. So as we mentioned, it can take longer for you to recover as estrogen declines. So we want to honor that. Even if you were in your 20s, we want to honor that. It does not mean in your 20s, because estrogen is, flowing amazing and your hormones are all quote unquote balanced, everything feels good, that you don't need rest days. You still need them then, and you still need recovery then, but it is essential for muscle repair and growth. Your muscles need time to recover from the stress of lifting heavy, and your bones need time to rebuild after the stress of weight-bearing activities. Here is one that also gets thrown out of balance, is the balance of strength training with cardio. We need both. We need both of these things, but it does not have to be a cumbersome plan that takes hours. So lifting heavy is so essential for bone health, but we need our hearts to be healthy too. And that's where cardio goes into. So moderate cardio into your weekly routine is going to help that heart health. We're going to take a quick pause before we keep going on with this. And I want to take a moment to share something that could help you get started with your journey today. If you're ready to take your strength training to the next level, check out my CatFit Strength program, where I offer tailored strength training programs for women like you, whether you're navigating perimenopause, managing motherhood, or just looking to build muscle safely and effectively. With custom plans designed to meet your body where it's at, CatFit Strength can help you feel strong, injury-free, and empowered. You can find all the details at cat.fit or just message the podcast. I will get back to you. Let's keep diving into how do we structure a plan. Hopefully you're still sticking with me and not feeling overwhelmed. So I'm going to take a 7-day workout cycle. Your cycle does not have to be 7 days. You can look at it and extend it to a 12-day cycle. We're going to focus on 7 days. So this 7-day workout cycle, and again, this is just a mere outline and suggestion. This is not something that I want you to take and just start doing. It is just a broad-based overview so you can conceptualize how it all can work together. So this cycle is to build muscle, endurance, and strength. The key to success in any strength training program is progressive overload. I can't say that enough. Again, you're gradually increasing the intensity of your workouts. So let's look at day one. Day one, a Monday, can look like heavy strength training day. So this is focused on compound movements like squats, deadlifts, overhead press, and aiming 4 to 6 reps with heavy weights targeted for hypertrophy. So potentially 3 to 4 sets with 4 to 6 reps. Day two, active recovery. What active recovery means is something like cardio. So doing like a low intensity cardio, like walking, cycling, or swimming for 30 to 45 minutes. This is going to allow the muscles to get that good blood flow in there and aid in muscle recovery. That is also coupled with some mobility and stretching, maybe some self-myofascial release, like foam rolling, using the stick. And that is going to allow your body to feel good and get that mobilization into that body if you're feeling a little stiff from a heavy strength training day or from the stressors of life. Cardio is so great. I want to stress that you can do walking, cycling, swimming, spinning, or even on this day, pairing it with like a yoga class if you enjoy yoga. Day three, we want to look at hypertrophy. So we're looking at moderate reps. So again, it's not always about heavy lifting, but that is the cornerstone here, as well as progressive strength. Day three is hypertrophy, moderate reps. So we're working in the 8 to 12 rep range for muscle definition. So this is that muscle endurance fiber here, and we're focusing on specific muscle grips. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it's not, okay, well, this is where we only focus on leg day, and then the next week it's chest and back. No. It's still total body, but we're really working on those focused movements. So it might be lunges, dumbbell rows, leg press, the ones where it's not all about those compound movements, but we are having some of those compound movements in there, and we're focusing on what I call accessory lifts, backing up that support of that body. So this is where that stability, that control in that body, think about like falling, how you have to catch yourself. Heavy strength is really creating that big, strong body. Day four, we're going to focus on mobility and stretching. So we're focused on dynamic stretching, foam rolling, really to reduce that muscle tightness. It's about 20 to 30 minutes here. Now with this day on day four, You can also incorporate some great walking, cycling, but we're not focused on getting on any sort of cardio equipment or getting outside and hammering hard. Again, that goes with day 2. We can look at ways, and I do have some of my clients doing some interval training with their cardio, but it is focused on what works best and how they recover. That doesn't mean we avoid it, but that's where it becomes individualized. So when I say cardio, I don't want you to think full all out hard as possible. We can stay in that steady state zone 2. I'll do a whole podcast on cardio. Here's another area where we can incorporate, get out in nature and find that good stress release there, but getting that mobility and stretching in there. Day 5, do all power explosiveness. So it could be box jumps, medicine ball throws, kettlebell swings to build that explosive strength. With this, it's not that I'm starting my clients out doing big, deep box jumps. There are many different ways to get that power and explosiveness without thinking I'm jumping down from a big box. I am, throwing weight around. It's meeting yourself where you're at, and we build that power explosive so that the body can handle a load if you were to have to sprint after your toddler, or if you trip, you can catch yourself. So day 6 is this full body strength. We're going to be focusing on higher reps, 8 to 12 reps per exercise, and about 2 to 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps. The weight is going to be a moderate weight. You're going to still feel it heavy in your hand, but it's not going to be all out super heavy all the time. Day 7, rest and recovery. Take a full day, relax, recover. Maybe you need to do some mobility. Maybe it's just a nice, easy walk in nature with the family. But really, that is kind of how a whole 7-day framework will look like. So to recap, day 1, heavy strength training. Day 2, active recovery with cardio. Day 3, hypertrophy, thinking moderate reps, 8 to 12 range. Day 4, mobility, maybe another cardio specific workout. Day 5, really working on that power explosive. Day 6, full body, again, going back to that hypertrophy, moderate reps. And day 7, fully off. All that being said, this is just a 7-day framework. It does not mean that I have all my clients doing all of this. This is just an ideal situation. Some of my clients strength train 2 times per week because that is the season of life they're in. And then they have cardio movement outside of that. So it has to work for you. And the last thing I want you to feel is I can't do 7 days like this. No worries. A heavy strength training day in and get a moderate strength training day in. And that is going to be incredible, and focus on getting that movement in everyday life. So do not feel that this is the absolute only way you're going to see success, because this is just one example, and there are many different ways you can cater it to yourself. Let's recap this because I threw a lot at you. Lifting heavy, progressive strength training is where it's at for women in midlife. Not only does it help you preserve muscle mass, but it also allows you to build strength, power, helping you prevent injuries and keeping you feel your best any age and any decade you are. If you're navigating those changes of perimenopause or managing the demands of family life, lifting heavy and focusing on muscle growth is really going to give you that energy and that resilience you need for your life. And as I mentioned mid-show, if you really are ready to do this and you're like, I just need someone to give me a plan, I'm your person. I can help you with this. We can chat. So I'd love to hop on a call with you. Reach out to me on Instagram at catfitstrength or visit the site at cat.fit. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If you're really enjoying the show, please share it with someone or leave a review. Thank you for tuning in to Miles from Review, powered by CatFit Strength. If this podcast inspires you, don't keep it for yourself. Hit follow or subscribe to stay updated on the new episodes, and leave us a review to help more women and moms discover this space. Your feedback fuels this podcast, and I'd love to hear what's working for you or what topics you want to dive into next. You can connect with me on Instagram at catfitstrength, or share this episode with a friend who is ready to embrace her strength. Remember, fitness isn't about perfection. It's about showing up for yourself and finding strength in every step of your journey. Until next time, keep moving forward, 1 mile at a time.